After 14 seasons, John Longmire officially stood down as senior coach of the Sydney Football Club. His record is in the top echelon of modern day coaches and matches with some of the greatest of all time. He has a premiership, an overall 64% win rate, and the respect of everyone in the AFL world. The Bloods culture has lived through his reign as well, and Longmire's ability to adapt and replenish to put out strong teams each year is remarkable. He's not the perfect coach, no one is, but in the 21st century, with the evenness of the competition, he has done as good a job as anyone could ask for. The reasons for his departure are simple. He was exhausted, as anyone would be being in the spotlight for a decade and a half. Longmire said, "The team was travelling really well. In fact, this year, as good as we have ever. However, even during this year with the team's superb on-field form and our football department working really well in support, I felt in myself that my time as coach of the club was coming towards a close. After such a long time coaching, the week in, week out really does start to wear on you. I feel that I need to step back from coaching to rest, reflect and regenerate." He also mentioned he had been feeling this way for 18 months and during this period of time met with CEO Tom Harley to discuss his future. It was a clean and simple end that was really nice to see. No major leaks beforehand, no misrepresentation in the media, just the truth. In a small twist, Longmire will not depart the Swans entirely. He will remain at the club in a new role titled Executive Director of Club Performance. It's understood this is a far more hands-off role, and Longmire won't be involved anymore in the coaching of the team. That will be left to new senior coach Dean Cox. Now this makes it all clear why Cox didn't go for the West Coast Eagles coaching job. The whole time he and everyone at the club knew Cox was next in line, whether it was right now or at the end of Longmire's contract, which was set to expire in 2025. The 43-year-old has completed his apprenticeship and has been Longmire's right-hand man since he arrived in 2017. He has also made it clear that he will adopt a few changes while keeping the philosophies instilled that are from the past. On RSN Breakfast, Cox said, "There will be some positional changes that we're going to try to have a look at over the pre-season. On top of that, we need to change parts of the way we play. Our contest was inconsistent throughout the year, so the method with which we need to go about that. We were really efficient going inside 50, but we want to try and keep it in our front half for as long as possible. The personnel changes, there will be a couple of them straight off the bat that we'll look at through this pre-season." But a new senior coach couldn't ask for much more. An overall talented squad with a set of superstar players in their prime, and an organisation that has strong stability. If the Sydney Swans senior coaching job was on the open market, it would basically be the best job available. But it's time for a bit of reflection. Longmire was appointed the senior coaching role in 2011 and has lasted 14 years. There was a reason why. He was a superb coach. No one coached more games for the Sydney Swans or South Melbourne than Longmire. 333 times he led them in football battle, 131 more times than second in Paul Roos, and 181 more times than third in Rodney Eade. His 28 finals appearances is 12 more than second, and a 50% win rate in those games is solid as well. His overall record has longevity, lots of wins both in the home and away and finals, and good consistency in terms of ladder finishes. Sydney made finals in 12 of the 14 seasons he was in charge, and in 9 of those seasons he won 15 or more games. But it's impossible not to mention the small elephant in the room, if that makes sense. The reality is, he has a 1-win and 4-loss record in grand finals. There is always the half glass full or half glass empty attitude to look at this record. The Swans did make 5 grand finals when he was senior coach, which is great, but lost 4 of them, and that comes with heartbreak, factoring in that 3 of those 4 losses were blowouts, and it does add some humiliation, especially when the grand final is the most watched game of the year. Did Longmire not have his teams ready to play in 4 grand finals? Did he game plan wrong, or did each set of players just have bad games? We will never know the answers to those questions, but you can defend Longmire. First of all, and most importantly, he does have a premiership. In 2012, his second season as coach, they defeated Hawthorn by 10 points in a fierce game. That makes him a made man in the AFL. 2014, they ran into the three-peat Hawks, who won all 3 of their grand finals relatively comfortably. 2016, the football gods said yes to the Western Bulldogs, and again, for most of that game it was a close contest. In 2022, Geelong were by far the best team that year, and had levels of experience over the Sydney team that ran out that day. And last year, they faced a red-hot Brisbane team, and their star player in Isaac Heaney did aggravate a stress fracture in his ankle early in the first quarter. Make of this what you want, but there are some reasons to explain each of their grand finals. The games will be a part of the discussion around Longmire's legacy, but they won't define him. He has done too much winning over such a long period of time. I think we all get the feeling this won't be the last time Longmire is a senior coach. I know for now he is staying at Sydney, but phone calls to his manager will be made this season about his availability. Tasmania is the obvious landing place. He provides an experienced head that can develop and work with youth, and at just 53 years old, Longmire has plenty of fuel left in the tank. Coaches with his ability are competitive freaks, and the bug will be biting him throughout 2025. Whether it's the Devils or another club, imagine the size of a possible contract. He would become the highest paid coach in the AFL. For Sydney, there is a touch of the unknown. Cox will make changes, so that will be interesting to see, and despite finishing first last year and making the grand final, they still have some weak points to address, namely with a second key defender and inconsistent key forward play. That might be nitpicking a bit, because a platform to win 15 plus games is there. The club and Cox also has to have concern with Chad Warner. He's one of the big name out of contract players, and the Western Australian has already reportedly met with West Coast officials, playing golf with CEO Don Pike and Head of Innovation and Strategy Kieran Jack, a former Sydney player. Right now, the Swans have fierce competition for Warner's signature. Sydney, after 14 seasons, is finally entering a new evolution. John Longmire did all he could, and now the future of the club rests with Dean Cox. He has big shoes to fill, and he has done his apprenticeship. Time will tell if he becomes a great coach, but he has 7 years of experience under Longmire, who is one of the modern day greats. Longmire himself isn't really sailing off into the sunset quite yet. It's more like he's relaxing on the beach, reflecting, but also pondering what's next.